A guy I know makes $94,000 a year and has $11 in savings. Another guy I know makes $51,000 and just paid cash for a house. Same country, same decade, same access to credit cards, sales, and same-day shipping. The difference wasn't income. It wasn't luck. It was something so boring that nobody talks about it on the internet, because boring doesn't get clicks, except when it quietly makes you rich while everyone else is still arguing about stocks and side hustles. Here's the part that's going to bother you. The stuff you own right now, the stuff sitting in your closet, your garage, your Amazon cart, is actively working against your bank account while you sleep. Not because you're bad with money, because you were never taught the habits that separate people who accumulate wealth from people who accumulate things. And by the end of this video, you're going to understand exactly why the poorest looking people in your life might be sitting on the biggest net worth, and why the flashiest ones are often one missed paycheck from disaster. I'll tell you what changed everything for me, but first, I need you to sit with an uncomfortable question. When was the last time you bought something just to feel something? Let's start with habit one, and it's the one nobody wants to hear. People who build wealth quietly stop buying things to regulate their emotions. Psychologists have a name for it. Retail therapy isn't a joke. It's a documented coping mechanism, and researchers studying consumer behavior found that people are far more likely to make impulse purchases when they're feeling stressed, lonely, or low, not when they're calm and thinking clearly. That Target run after a bad day at work? That's not shopping. That's self-medication with a debit card. The wealthy in waiting learn to feel the feeling instead of buying it away. It sounds like therapy talk, I know. But every dollar you don't spend soothing a feeling is a dollar compounding somewhere else while you're asleep. Now here's the reward for staying with me this far, because I promised I wouldn't let this drag. The second habit is even sneakier, and it's the one that separates people who look rich from people who actually are rich. It's called the one-in, one-out rule, and it's not about decluttering your house. It's about decluttering your decision-making. Every time you buy something new without removing something old, you're not just adding clutter. You're adding maintenance, storage, insurance, mental load, and future replacement cost. A guy buys a fourth pair of sneakers he didn't need. Doesn't feel like a big deal, right? It's 60 bucks. But multiply that decision pattern across 10 years, across every category of his life. Clothes, gadgets, kitchen gear, subscriptions. And he's not $60 poorer. He's tens of thousands of dollars poorer. And he has a garage full of proof. I want you to notice something. We're only a few minutes in, and I've already told you two habits that have nothing to do with a spreadsheet. That's on purpose. Nobody gets rich from a budgeting app. People get rich from decisions they stop making badly over and over for years. Stick around, because habit 4 on this list is the one that took me the longest to accept. It's uncomfortable, and it might make you rethink the last big purchase you made. Habit 3 is subscription auditing, and I want you to actually do this one tonight, not just nod along. The average American is bleeding money every single month on the subscriptions they forgot they have. Streaming services, apps, gym memberships, cloud storage plans stacked on top of each other because nobody ever cancels anything. It's not that anyone's subscription is expensive. It's that they're invisible. You don't feel $11.99 leave your account. That's exactly why it's dangerous. Minimalists treat recurring charges like weeds. If you don't pull them regularly, they take over the whole yard. I know someone who found 4 different subscriptions to services she hadn't opened in over a year. 4. That's not a spending problem. That's an attention problem. And attention is the most valuable currency you have. Which brings us to habit 4, the one I mentioned, the uncomfortable one. Minimalist habit number 4 is refusing to upgrade your lifestyle every time your income goes up. This has a name in behavioral economics: lifestyle inflation. And it is the single most reliable way to stay broke while making more money every year. You get a raise, you get a nicer car. You get a bonus, you get a bigger apartment. Your income chart goes up and to the right, and so does your spending. In perfect lockstep, forever, and you never actually get ahead. You just get a nicer treadmill. There's a well-known study of lottery winners that found a huge share of them were broke again within a few years of winning. Not because the money vanished, because their spending expanded to consume it the same way it always had. More money doesn't fix a spending habit. It just gives the habit a bigger stage. Now let me give you the payoff moment because you've earned it. Here's the reframe that changes how you see every purchase for the rest of your life. Rich people don't ask, "Can I afford this?" Everyone can afford almost anything if they finance it long enough. The question wealthy-minded people ask instead is, "What does owning this cost me in the years I have left?" A boat isn't $400 a month. It's 40 weekends a year of maintenance, and every one of those weekends is a weekend you didn't spend building the thing that actually pays you back. That's the shift. Minimalism isn't about deprivation. It's about redirecting your finite hours toward things that compound instead of things that decay the second you drive them off the lot. Habit 5 is buying quality over quantity. And I promise this isn't the tired advice you think it is. There's a concept sometimes called the boot theory of economic injustice. The idea that a cheap pair of boots that falls apart in a year and gets replaced 5 times over a decade ends up costing more than one expensive pair that lasts the whole 10 years. Poverty isn't just about income. It's a tax on your ability to buy things once. Minimalists who build wealth understand this instinctively. They'd rather own 6 incredible things than 60 mediocre ones, because the 60 mediocre ones need to be replaced, stored, cleaned, and eventually thrown away. And every one of those steps costs money and time you'll never get back. I want to pause here and ask you to drop a comment. Honestly, right now, before you forget, what's one thing sitting in your house that you bought and used maybe twice? Just type the item. You're going to be shocked scrolling through the comments later and seeing how many people say the exact same thing you're thinking right now. That recognition, that moment of wait, that's literally me. That's the entire reason this video is going to spread. It's not because minimalism is trendy, it's because everybody's hiding the same guilty secret in a closet somewhere. Habit 6 is time blocking your shopping. This one's simple and brutal. Minimalist-minded people who build real wealth never buy anything the same day they see it, outside of groceries and true emergencies. They wait 24 hours for anything under $100 and a full week for anything above it. Here's why that works. Most impulse purchases don't survive contact with a good night's sleep. The urgency you feel staring at a countdown timer on a sales page is manufactured. It's designed by people whose entire job is making you feel like you'll lose something if you wait. You won't. The item will still exist tomorrow. Your bank account, however, will thank you for the delay because somewhere around 80% of the things you wanted yesterday, you won't even remember wanting by next week. Habit 7 is something almost nobody frames correctly. Owning less stuff means owning more freedom, literally, physically, and financially. Think about a shopkeeper I once knew, running a small hardware store who lived above the shop in 2 rooms for almost 15 years, while his neighbors upgraded houses and cars around him. People used to whisper that he was cheap, maybe even that he was struggling. He wasn't. He was buying up small commercial properties in his town, one at a time, in cash, while everyone else was making payments on things that were losing value the moment they bought them. By the time he was 60, he owned the block. Not because he earned more than his neighbors, because he needed less and every dollar he didn't need went somewhere that needed him back. That story is the pivot, so let it sit for a second. We've been talking this whole time as if minimalism is about restraint. It's not. It's about redirection. Every dollar and every hour you're not spending maintaining stuff is a dollar and an hour available for something that grows. That's the entire secret hiding in plain sight. Wealthy people aren't smarter with money. They just have less stuff competing for their attention and their income. Habit 8 is digital minimalism. And I promise this connects directly to your wallet even though it feels unrelated. The algorithms running your social feeds are engineered quite literally to show you things designed to make you want to buy. Vacations you didn't know you wanted, gadgets you didn't know existed, bodies and lifestyles calibrated to make your own life feel insufficient. Cal Newport wrote about this kind of engineered dissatisfaction in his work on digital minimalism, and the core idea holds up perfectly here. The less time you spend marinating in curated highlight reels, the less often you feel that low hum of "I need something" that has nothing to do with actual need and everything to do with comparison. People who cut their scrolling time in half report wanting to buy things less often, not because they found more willpower, but because they stopped being shown things designed to manufacture the want in the first place. Habit 9 is minimal debt tolerance. Not zero debt, minimal debt. And there's a difference. Minimalist-minded wealth builders treat debt the way a surgeon treats a scalpel. A precise tool for specific situations, never a lifestyle. A mortgage on an appreciating asset, sure, that's a tool. A car loan on a depreciating asset stacked with a buy now, pay later plan for a couch and a credit card carrying a balance from last Christmas? That's not a lifestyle, that's a leak in the boat. And no amount of paddling harder is going to out-earn a hole you refuse to patch. The habit isn't complicated, it's just deciding in advance what debt is allowed to exist in your life and what isn't. So you're never making that decision emotionally at 11 at night in a checkout line. And habit 10, the last one, is the quietest of them all. Minimalists give themselves a real, defined, non-negotiable savings rate before a single dollar touches anything else. Not what's left over. First, if subscribing to this idea, this whole way of living, feels like something you want more of, that's exactly what hitting subscribe does for you here. It just means you'll be here for the next one. No pressure, just a door left open. Here's what I actually want you to walk away with, more than any single habit on this list. Wealth was never about how much you make. It was never even really about how much you save. It's about how much peace you can create by needing less from a world that is constantly, relentlessly, professionally designed to make you want more. The two men from the beginning of this video, the one with $11 and the one who paid cash for a house, they didn't have different luck. One of them just stopped feeding a hunger that was never going to be satisfied by another purchase. The other one is probably still scrolling right now, card open, one click away from feeling something for about 6 minutes before the feeling fades and the bill arrives. You don't need less because you're poor. You need less because everything you don't need is quietly, patiently making you richer. If this video added value to your day, hit like, share it with your loved ones who need this, and subscribe for more insights. I'll see you in the next one.